Okay, this is going to be a live Q&A, and I was actually getting a lot of requests about I was actually getting a lot of questions about loans and buying things on loans. Most of the questions were buying cars on loans, and I thought I'll address all of that. And the best way to do it is, because there were a lot of questions, I'll actually do this in a Q&A. There is actually like a few questions. Let me just check. Now, before we begin, welcome to TopEvt, the best place for you to begin. Okay, there has to be a phone call in between. I don't know if you heard it, but that's the way just these things are. You always have to have something interrupting a live event. So anyways, welcome to TopEvt, the best place for you to grow your business and improve your life to become the top achiever that you want to be. This is me, Jamie. So today's topic is buying a car on loan. Should you buy a car on loan? What are the problems of buying a car on loan? All of those things we'll address. When is it good to buy a car on loan? Should you buy a luxury car on loan? All of those things. I actually got a lot of questions about this. So Sam117 asked me, what's the best way to buy a car on loan? So most of the questions are similar to this. Some person has asked me, should you buy a luxury car on loan? We'll be looking into all of that. Now I'll give you my 2 cents into it. You should only buy something that appreciates in value if you're getting it on loan. So something that appreciates in value, you can get it on loan. But if it is something that is depreciating, so a car is normally it depreciates. The only time you get value for it if it's a classic car, and that's very less likely you will end up with one if it's that kind of a limited edition car or something on that lines. But should you get a car on loan? What if it's very essential that you have a car? You live in a place where you need a car to go to and fro from work. What do you do then? I'll give you my advice. Car, if it is that essential, then you have to get it, of course. And if you can't pay it upfront, then you will have to negotiate a loan for it. But I'll show you how bad the loans are for the cars. Now, I'm living here in India. Right now, the hottest car is the Swift Desire, the new one. I'll tell you examples of two of my friends. One is trying to buy that car on loan, and the other one has paid upfront and he's actually booked the car. It's going to come in 2 months. That's the waiting period for it. Now, when the other friend went to get the same car on loan, he was quoted a price, that is an EMI that goes about 10,000 something per month for a 7-year loan. He got me all the details. I calculated how much he will be paying, and he's actually paying more than 2.3 lakhs for a car that is roughly 7-8 lakhs with some options selected. So he is actually paying the price of an entire Alto as interest. So another entire car, another small car, is being paid as interest through the period of 7 years. The other friend, who I'm not going to name, but he got it upfront. He paid upfront for it, and he has already booked it. Now he has to pay the remaining when the car is available, when it reaches here. So his price actually he got a 10,000 rupee discount. Even if this is a hot car and it's the hottest selling thing, he got a 10,000 rupee discount just because he's paying upfront. So the power of money is there. If you're paying upfront, it's always good. Now, should you buy a car on loan? Again, the same question comes. Yes, as the live audience is asking me, yeah, should you buy a car on loan? The main thing you have to understand is, if it's a necessity, then go ahead, buy it. You need it to go to work, and if it is an amount that you can pay back. So suppose if you're having a 50,000 rupee job and you can actually pay that amount back, then you can go forward with it. But if it is like a loan is really high, you're trying to, if your entire income is going to be 50,000 and you're getting a Mercedes E-Class, the EMI for which would be somewhere around 5 to 6 lakhs per month, then that's never going to work. Second thing is, the next question is, should you buy a luxury car on loan? Now, this doesn't make any sense to me because you're paying that kind of an amount which could be used for something better. A luxury car is something of an indulgence. It's not going to get you from point A to B any better. It is not going to get you any quicker, or it might just pamper you a bit. But for that, if you're paying that much extra and you're paying a loan, then that's not good. Because if you're buying such an item on loan, of course, the only exception is you can afford it and you're getting it to exempt you from certain taxes, and you're actually doing that for that purpose, to not get into the eyes of the government for taxes and like getting such a big ticket item. You can get it on loan. That's understandable. The example of this is many of the big short industrialists, I don't want to name them, but many of them actually buy like really expensive cars on loans. They get really expensive cars on loans and they are able to get, they do it basically for saving taxes. That's a good way to do it. They get properties on loan also. They might be able to pay upfront for it, but it's better that they get a loan exemption so that when they file their taxes at the end of the year, it's better. The next question that I have is, I told you I got a lot of questions about loans. So the next question is, buying a house on loan, does it make any sense? And this is actually a very big email which one of the viewers sent me. Buying an entire house on loan, is it good? He has just started his job and like it's been a year or so, and he is asking advice on this one topic. Buying a house on loan is good technically because it's better than paying rent. If you're paying rent for it and you are basically changing that rent that you will be paying, you will be putting it into the EMI. But be careful with this also. House only sells because of location. So when you're trying to resell it, when you have to make money out of that house again, it has to be in a good location, it has to be in demand. And if you looked at my previous video, you know that houses can appreciate and depreciate in value. There can be problems where you have problems in liquidating these kind of assets, but in the long term, houses do hold their value and technically you should be safe. But it's still, you have to put 2 asterisks in it, and it can still happen that you might lose value, or it turns out to be a property bubble. Then you're going to lose money on it. So I hope that was clear. So yeah, another exception in this is like, of course, it's a necessity. Go ahead and buy it. Don't think that, oh, this is just going to be a depreciating asset or anything on that lines. Then don't think about that. Get the house because it's necessary. When should you rent? If you're only going to stay there for some time, that is a period of 2 years, then renting might be better because you're putting only that much time into it, and the asset, you don't have to worry about liquidating it. But if you're staying there for a period indefinite, that is like you're going to be there for 8 years, 10 years, or you have decided to settle there for life, then of course it is better that you pay towards the EMI. Even though there is interest, technically, if it's a good city, your property rates will actually catch up and surpass it. So even if you're paying interest, it is actually going to surpass it and you will have a profit in the end. Now I'll give you a good example of buying property on loan. What is a good investment in buying property in loan? One of my friends actually has a shop that is located in a very prime spot. The rental income for that is about 6 lakhs per month, and that's how it is. Now, how he got that property is he actually got that on a loan. He got that property on a loan, paid whatever was the initials, and paid for 2 years. After 2 years, the property was completed, and like even though the rest of the building was still being built, the shops were ready to be possessed. So he was able to divert the income, that is the rental income from that, towards paying his loan. So the rest of the loans, the 7-year loan, I think it was a 7-year loan which he had taken, that 7-year loan was paid off, and it was paid off just because of the rent. After 7 years, he had surplus. He had more money coming in. So everything he got after that is profit. His rents have been increasing and increasing, and it's always been a good steady income for him. And I think like it's a passive income that will actually help him in his life, being set in his life. Now, another question which I got is, which is kind of weird, is buying a mutual fund on loan. I don't know if this is a prank or is it serious, but a mutual fund is an investment. If you are actually getting, it doesn't make sense to me that you will get a loan from the bank, so it has to be a personal loan, because I don't think banks will lend you money to pay to a mutual fund. So that doesn't make sense. So you will have to take it as a personal loan. Interest is really high on personal loans, and then you are expecting the mutual funds to outperform the interest on the loan, so that your amount is the principal and interest is paid for. This will be really hard, and I don't see how that will play. What if you have a bad year? What if you have a bad year? The mutual funds don't always pay. What if the market goes down? Then that's just going to be a hassle. So I don't see how that's going to work. Yeah. The next question I have here is, okay, basically the question says, is the higher lifestyle worth the interest? Okay, so uh, this person is asking me if buying things on loan, specifically he's just started his work and he wants to buy a car and a house on loan together, and also buy furnishings and everything related to it to get that kind of a lifestyle. So he might not be having the amount to pay right now. He might not have the surplus to pay all of this right now. So he wants to get that higher lifestyle and then just pay it off through bank interest. Is it worth it? Again, it doesn't make sense to me. First of all, you're training yourself in the opposite way. How you should be training yourself is to live within your means, and if you can learn that, if you can learn to consolidate your spending within your earnings, then you will have a saving, and that's how you can be on the process of being rich. So if you don't do that, then I don't know how you're supposed to get more and more. It doesn't make sense. So you want to live beyond your means. If it is something like, there are some people out there who just want to pose, who want to show that, yeah, I'm something, I'm successful, at least on the superficial level. If that is what you want to do, then maybe you can do that, but it doesn't make any sense to me, and you shouldn't. Essential items, okay, if it is a property that's going to pay, if it is a rental income that's going to create passive income, okay, you can get loans for it. Those make sense. Cars only if it is essential, yes. But if you're getting all of these things on loan and just paying for the higher lifestyle, that's living on credit. That's not going to be good. that's not something I would advise, because it's actually setting up your life for problems. Don't don't do that. That's not good. There are some other questions which I've got in this Q&A. The next question I have is buying okay, he wants to buy a KTM RC390. Okay, a person wants to buy a KTM Duke RC390 on loan, and he's asking, it's a very long question, but he's basically asking me how should he do it and all the details about it. Is it a good investment? Again, it's a bike, so it's not going to be as high a amount as a car. If it is something that you need to commute to work, it doesn't have to be RC390. There might be other bikes which are cheaper and you don't have to pay this much interest. But if it is something you need, since it's not going to be that much of a significant hit, I don't know your income, so I don't know how to judge that, but technically it shouldn't be that much of a big hit, so you can go ahead with it. It should be okay, but still, avoid loans. Basically what I'm trying to tell you is, the only time a loan will make any sense is you have it into an asset or something that appreciates. As I've told you many times before, asset is something that is going to appreciate with time. Don't take a liability with loan. Liability is something that is going to cost you and is never going to return what you put into it. So don't ever get anything of a liability by a loan. So don't buy a liability through loan. Assets through loan up till a certain condition. As I told you, there has to be 2 stars in behind it, and like you have to asterisk, and you have to give entire terms and conditions apply. But assets through loans are still good. You can do that. There have been many success stories actually built on that, and that's actually a good thing. I hope that these questions, there are a lot of other questions. I'll actually do more Q&As now, because since I'm getting a lot of questions in the comments. And what I've decided to do is, I'll actually be creating a video every night. Let's do a live, YouTube live every night at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Indian time. That would be 9:30 Eastern. Sorry, not 9:30, 12:30 Eastern daylight saving time, and for those who are in the US. Yeah. Anyways, let me try to do that. The only days you won't have a live with me is if I'm actually traveling. Then it might not be possible, or there are some things off. If that's the case, I'll actually try to do a live before or after that. But let's see if we can continue this. And I'm really liking this YouTube live because it actually solves a lot of problems, and I'm really good with spontaneous videos. So why not? Because that's the way I have done most of my videos. Let's do this. If you have any comments or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any topic requests, leave them in the comments below as well. Like, share, subscribe. This has been Jamie for TopEvt. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Yes, thank you. I'm seeing all the comments. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for the 160 subscribers. Sorry, 260 subscribers which I have right now, and the growth has been phenomenal. I thank you all for your support. Thank you.